Hi, in this video I would like to introduce the Valet Tiny Automation. This is our latest solution which can run restricted set of Valet services that are normally available on our cloud platform. I will guide you through a set of steps that will allow you to run Valet automation engine on your local PC or on an ARM-based device like Raspberry Pi. Valet TinyAutomator is a set of Docker images that includes Valet console, Valet inference automation rule engine, digital twin service, and embedded sandbox that will allow to run Valet templates. I have a Raspberry Pi in my hands with 1 GB of RAM. That should be sufficient to run TinyAutomator, but 2 GB of RAM is preferred. This is to avoid memory swaps and system slowdowns. Okay, let's start our journey with some preparation work. I will create SD card image with Raspberry Pi OS Lite. I'm using Raspberry Pi utility for that, which you can download from Raspberry Pi site. Okay, let's choose the light version of operating system. Then change also some default settings like enabling SSH and changing default password for PI user on that system. And next also change local settings that are matching my time zone where I'm situated, and choose SD card and start writing of that image. It will take some time, so let me pause my video and continue once writing is finished. Okay, SD card preparation has finished. I inserted it on my Raspberry Pi and started it up. So let's check availability of Raspberry Pi using ping utility. Normally once it is up and ready, ping utility should return a reply from Raspberry Pi. Okay, let's wait a little bit more. Okay, so Raspberry Pi is now ready. Let's connect to it using SSH client. So I will use password which I set during SD card image writing. Okay, so here now let's change the default swap file size because we will need more virtual memory. Okay, let's use a sudo for that. So there is a parameter which actually sets a maximum size for that swap file. We need to just comment it out. The next step will be installation of Docker engine. We will use just standard Unix shell script provided by Docker team. I shortened paused video and started back after Docker installation. It takes some time. So you see that Docker has been installed on my system. So let's continue with next step. And next step will be adding PI user to Docker group. This is required to allow PI user execute Docker command without sudo privileges. So you need to relog into the system. So I'll do it also here. Okay, some small issue. Okay, now it's connecting. Okay, once I logged in back, I will be able to execute Docker commands. So currently you see execution Docker of PS doesn't output any running containers because we didn't install anything yet there. The next step will be preparation of the set of directories which will be shared with Docker persistent volumes. Those persistent volumes will be used by Valet services to store entities like templates, tasks, plugins between your system restarts. Okay, let's continue our journey further. I will install some tools and services that will help to perform SSL communication towards Valet services. It is an HA proxy service and also additional utility named KCert. Okay, that utility is provided by some open source community, and also I will move it to user local bin directory. Okay, the next step will be adjusting swap file size and enabling this usage of that swap file by a system. So in my case, it's extended to 1.8 gigabyte. Okay, it's time now to download the Docker Compose file that contains a description of TinyAutomator services. So let's download it from our public URL. If you check the content of that file, it's nothing else than a description of Docker services which has to be started. So the URL which is provided is available also on our blog post with instructions. So if you check the content, indeed you will see that it has a set of predefined values and environment settings which should be started. Okay, let's try to start it up using Docker Compose command. Okay, let me copy paste the complete line. Okay, oops, yeah, I forgot to install Docker Compose probably. Let me just check. Yeah, indeed, I did not install it yet. So I have to do some additional steps. It's also using standard apt utilities. So let's do it now. Okay, it can take some time probably. Let me, in meantime, also pause video. Okay, still last step to install the Docker Compose using pip3 utility. So it takes some time indeed. Okay, so everything is finished now. I should be able to run Docker Compose now. So it is downloading Docker images from our public hub repository, and it also takes some time. So let's pause video for a short time, and we'll be back once it is finished downloading of Docker images. Okay, downloading has been finished and containers has been started. So let's check the status of those containers using docker ps command. So you see that you have 5 services running. You can check the logs of those services to see how they are behaving. Here I just checked the logs file of our engine service. And one last step will be preparation startup of HA proxy service. So that will require generation of SSL certificates. Okay, let's initialize the mkcert CA authority on Raspberry Pi system. Okay, it takes some time as it's busy with generation of some internal certificates. Okay, the CA is ready. Now let's generate the SSL certificate for our JProxy service. Okay, that's ready. Okay, now it is ready, and we just copy it to the just combine two certificates into one file for JProxy and copy it to the etc JProxy directory. Okay, so TinyAutomator uses some fake host name for a tenant. It's named standalone Valet.io, and we need to adjust the host file of Raspberry Pi to also point to localhost IP address for that host name. So I will just adjust it on etc host file, write it down. Okay, next step will be preparation of a JProxy configuration to start SSL server and proxy it to our Valet engine. So let me copy paste the configuration for that. Okay, so that's it for configuration. So you see that the IP address and port for engine service. Now just do restart of a JProxy and it will start the SSL listener. Okay, normally everything is ready now to start the browser. I need to just adjust the host file on my local system, so I will be able to connect to the Raspberry Pi, to services on Raspberry Pi. So let me check the IP address of main Ethernet interface. So it is 232, and just let use that line which contains mapping to host of standalone layout. Okay, so now if I open my browser and go to standalone Valet port 8000, I should be able to see the Valet console. So here only restricted set of services is available. It's you can see resources. Okay, so you can see resources. Let's maybe wait a little bit until all services are running. Okay, so it doesn't have any resources yet. So you can access resource types, the constraints, plugins. So by default you have out of box 3 native plugins, but you can upload plugins which are used on your system, on cloud system, or you create it upfront or download it from our marketplace, for example. So you see I uploaded one of example services, and you can work with task templates. By that, our installation journey came to the end. You can start exploring and playing with Valet platform, and if you have questions or some installation problems, please visit our forum. We will be happy to help you. And thanks for watching, and see you soon.